Well, actually, when we planned this whole renovation project, I joined the board in '92, took over as a volunteer fundraiser for the renovation project in '94 through '98, and we really initially planned to add into our parking lot space at that time, so in the mid-90s. So we had a whole design of a whole second screen space that we were going to do. So having a second screen area has been floating around in our minds for a really long time, because then we can move film product over there when we have live events in here. And so then through the distributors, we're still screening film. So it's been around for a really long time. It's been a dream of mine for a very long time, because I knew it would just make all of our programming much easier. We did just a mini feasibility study with the people who had committed, the major donors who had committed to the renovation campaign in that mid-90s. And then, the downtown area was an entirely different place, pretty bleak, quite frankly. And nobody really saw this as kind of a mecca of arts and entertainment and restaurants and things. And so I was kind of alone in my vision, to say the very least, or we were certainly alone in our vision. So the major funders weren't interested in, being a part of building additional space or an additional screen or adding an additional office. They just wanted this part of the theater renovated. And actually, as it turns out, serendipitously enough, they were right. They were absolutely right, because we closed the doors and did the renovation in '98, '99. Downtown was still pretty bleak when we reopened in 1999. It took us 10 months to do the total renovation here, because we replaced all the mechanical, technical, and electrical systems, and literally tore the place apart and put it back together again. We added the big mechanical stage lift and brought the Wurlitzer out in front. So again, made it much more accommodating, so we could change from film to a live event much more easily, because we didn't have the Wurlitzer right in the middle of the stage, which was really cumbersome. So I have never kind of been able to give up this whole second screen space, and especially when we do things like the film festival, where we were camping out, for our second screen space, because we had so much product, we needed to have 2 screens going all the time during the festival, and we were in places like funeral homes and camping out in vacant buildings, and just doing all kinds of wild and wondrous things just to have a second screen space. So I knew that ultimately it was something that we really needed and wanted to do, and it would be something that would be a real asset to the theater. And downtown started to turn around, obviously. Beginning in 2000, we had the Renaissance Zone, which started really some action. People were beginning to understand that in order to build a vibrant downtown, you needed residential capacity. So people were starting to do that. The Fargo one was finally sold and turned into condos, which for me, that was the tipping point for this part of Broadway, absolutely positively. And that happened in about 2003, I think. And then we did the Broadwayscape project, which happened in about, well, our part of it happened about 2003, that summer. So then I started looking across the street at, and those are still vacant, at the Dixon and the Moose, because we had camped out there for the film festival, and it's a nice space. We just couldn't get the deal done with the owners, and so that wasn't going to work out. So at that point in time, we had already put a request for the city had assisted us in selling our parking lot. So they sort of took over the parking lot, they sold it, they got proposals for an urban infill project, which the Kilbourne Group did. And so I came back to the Kilbourne Group. They had already done part of their design, but not the back part of it. So, and the theater didn't need front Broadway space for the second screen. We needed to just have a space that could accommodate about 75 seats. And so they were able to build us into their project, and so that's how it came to be. And that we started dreaming about that in conjunction with the Kilbourne Group, which was perfect, because then it creates all those economy of scales for us. All we have to do is schedule appropriately. We can use the same concession staff, the same projectionist. We just run the 2 areas and do the scheduling appropriately. So it works wonderfully. And amazingly enough, because of the fact that these walls are so thick, it was built in '26, that you absolutely positively cannot hear. If we have a live event here, even a really loud live event, doing a small, quiet art house film in the second screen space, you absolutely can't hear a thing. So it's wonderful. It's worked out sensationally.